Hello and welcome to today's video. Today is my empties for the months of October and November. I have a ton of makeup. I'm so excited to share this with you. And then I have one hair product and then a couple body and skincare items. So I'm gonna do the makeup first, but before I jump into the actual makeup that's going into my value total, I do have a couple items that I'm decluttering. I'm so proud of myself. But here we go. I didn't really have another place to talk about them, so we'll talk about them here. The first two are two Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundations. One's in a light medium shade, one's in a medium shade. This I bought for self-tanning. This one I bought because I thought it was my correct shade. They're almost the same shade, I think, on me. So not only that, I don't like these. I don't like the applicator. I don't mind a paddle applicator, but this one for some reason always gets crudded up at the top. And it's so hard to keep clean. I don't like using it. I think it's drying. Maybe if I were living in a different environment where the climate wasn't as dry, or I didn't struggle with dry skin so much here, then I would prefer this or be able to give this a shot. But you know what? I'm over it, and I'm just gonna declutter it because I think I've given it its fair shot. I have so many, I have 25 foundations or so at the beginning of this year. So I have too many to work through in a timely manner. So I'm just gonna let these go. Goodbye. So the next product that I'm decluttering is another foundation, and it is my Beautifully Matte Foundation by No. 7. And I do not like this foundation. I actually like the finish of this foundation. It feels fine, but the color on me is so weird. It's kind of like a gray-green undertone instead of like a, I don't know, you know, some foundations can lean peachy in undertone, some can lean yellow in undertone. This one does not work for me. I thought I did the best I could, and not to mention that I bought this from Target for $1, like literally $1. And so I realize now too that the expiration date, it was expired in 2018, which I don't think it technically is bad because it's an airless pump and there's not a lot that gets in there. But at the same time, I don't think the SPF is actually beneficial anymore. And since the color's off and it's technically expired, I'm not gonna use it. I'm gonna go ahead and let this one go too. And then I have 3 more items that I'm decluttering. One is a nail polish, and I'm so sad. This is totally just a goof up moment. Like, I really just messed up. I was in the middle of painting my nails. My dad video called me, and I forgot to screw the cap on this guy back. And so when I went back to finish painting my nails, I realized, oh no, I never put the cap on. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's too thick now. Like when I tilt the bottle, you see how slowly it flows? It gloops up way too much. So I guess I left it open too long and it kind of dried out a little bit. I didn't mean to, but it was over a 30-minute phone call. So it was open for a good over 30 minutes. So unfortunately, I actually did like that as a top coat. It was fine. But yeah, it's not usable now. So that's an oopsie. The next one, or the next two, is this one was a bronzer. It was a shimmery, I think it's meant to be a highlighter. No, it calls itself a triple baked bronzer, but in my opinion, it was way too shimmery, even to be a bronzer topper. This is from Makeup Revolution. And so what I did is scraped it out and I put it into a jar along with some other ones. And I have it here, and I'm gonna just throw this into some body lotion and use it that way. And then I also did the same with a ABH highlighter in champagne. When I saw these at TJ Maxx, I just got really excited that they were ABH and they were literally $2 or $3. And so I bought it without realizing it's the refill pans, I think, that go in her contour kits. And I don't think those highlighters are the same quality as her highlighting palettes. And I love her highlighting palettes. So it just wasn't a shade that I was reaching for. It wasn't exciting. The formula wasn't outstanding. So I went ahead and also crushed it up into the body lotion kind of jar. So I'm gonna use those eventually, but I'm not gonna count them in my makeup inventory. So technically I'm decluttering a bronzer and a highlighter from my collection. Okay, now let's move into the actual products that I used up and that are going into my yearly total. And the first one, I'll start with primers. The first one is my L'Oreal Magic Perfecting Base, and this one is completely done. I was working on this in my 9 in 2019 project pan. I'm so glad to have finished this. I actually really quite enjoyed this primer. I think this, out of all my preference is for pore filling primers because I have pretty large pores. And this one I think is the best one I've found. It's the thickest one. It actually did fill pores, but you can overdo it. You have to kind of spot treat this. It's not something that you want to use all over your face. But I have to say, when I wanted a really nice pore filled as much as I can base, this is one that I would reach for. And it got to a point where I was almost done with it and I wouldn't let myself reach for it because I didn't want to finish it. But then I had to realize that's ridiculous. You have so many other pore filling primers that do a similar job, not the best job, not as good as this, but you need to use those. So I made myself finish it. I will one day probably repurchase this or something like this. I want to try some other ones. I want to try the Tarte one. I want to try, I think Catrice or somebody has a one. I want to try some other ones, but this one was a pretty good one. I was pretty satisfied with this guy. Next up, I have a Smashbox primer. This was in my recent roulette pan collab update video. And at the time I did not cut it open and I was telling myself, it's just a mini, don't do it. Like, just move on. There's not even that much left in it. You could physically see how much was left. And then Maxine got the best of me. If you don't know who Maxine is, I'll try to link my Q&A with my husband. But Maxine got the best of me. I did cut it open and there was only one use left, but I got it and it's done. This is a nice primer, but it's definitely not a favorite of mine. I think it's something that I can use a little bit more all over my face than this guy, but this one provides much better pore refining qualities. I do like the slip that this gives my makeup. So on days where I was using a little bit thicker of a foundation or something that I wanted a little bit more glide with, I would use this guy. And I quite like it, but I would probably only pick up these kind of primers on sale if I was really needing something. But like I said earlier, I have a lot of pore filling primers that I need to use up before I ever think about repurchasing something like that. Next up, let's move into foundations. And first up, I have a Supergoop CC cream. This guy I finished up in like September or the end of August, and I don't know how, but it's so small. It wasn't sitting in my makeup, like in my Empties bag, so I'm putting it in here now. I made sure I watched my Empties videos. I have not talked about this little guy yet, so now I will tell you about it. I actually quite like this little Supergoop sample, but 35 SPF, when I'm using a CC cream, I really want that SPF protection. And for me, I'm gonna go with the IT CC creams every time. So while this was good, fine, it worked very well, it had a nice finish, it was nothing outstanding. And since the IT CC cream provides 50 SPF versus 35, I'm gonna go with it every time. So this was good, but I wouldn't repurchase. Next up, I used my Maybelline Dewy and Smooth foundation. This was in my 13 by Halloween, I believe. And oh my goodness, this is another full-size foundation out of my collection. I'm very excited. To me, the finish is definitely more dewy than the matte one that they have, but I prefer the matte, even though I can look really dry on the outside of my skin. My T-zone is very oily, and I typically want my more dewy look, but I didn't like this as much as I like the matte one. So I would definitely not repurchase this one. If I ever repurchased one of the two, the matte one, matte and poreless, or the dewy and smooth, I would definitely pick the matte and poreless over this one. All right, concealers. I have 3. And the first one is my Master Conceal by Maybelline, and this I used as like spot treatment, and I don't love it under my eyes. I actually don't think it's as full coverage as I want it to be, but I did use it as an eyelid primer. It was really good for that. There's a ton of product in this little guy. Yeah, so I mean, for me, it took me a while to use this up. But yeah, I like it as an eyeshadow primer, but I don't think it's necessary, so I probably wouldn't repurchase that. Another one that I used up was my CoverGirl Outlast All Day Concealer. I don't like this concealer. No. This one doesn't really have that much coverage. I ended up trying to mix it in both with like Tarte Shape Tape and as an eyeshadow primer, and that's how I used it up, but I'm not a fan. It doesn't give enough coverage at all for what I need, so that's a big no. And then the last one I used up is this Neutrogena Hydro Boost Concealer, and hopefully you can see in here, like, I like this thing so much that I dug it out. So this is not a concealer that you want to use alone and like only as a concealer. For me, it definitely is a little bit too emollient and too moisturizing to use alone as a concealer. But if you're someone who struggles with dry under eyes, this is such a nice product. I do one like little bit of thin layer underneath my eyes. I pat it out with my finger, and then I go over the top with like a little bit of Tarte Shape Tape. I don't have to use as much as I would normally use because it does give you a little bit of coverage. And then it's like this is like my perfect concealer combination with Tarte Shape Tape. I have a backup of this. That's how much I enjoy it. I really like it, and I mean I enjoyed even digging it all the way out of the bullet. So this one is a repurchase for me. If you struggle with dry under eyes, maybe give this a try if you can find it on sale. Moving into a powder here, I have my CoverGirl Outlast All Day powder, and this is completely used up. This thing I bought, I think at Ulta on sale one time, and I thought it would just be I thought at that point I was like, powders are kind of just powders. I was wrong. I do not like this powder at all to set my makeup, like during my makeup phase. It's way too thick, and I think it made my face look a little cakey. The way I ended up using this was to use it as a blotting powder, and for that was much better, because typically when I need to blot, my foundation is starting to wear away by that point, and so this, because it is a little bit more cakey, kind of it sits on those areas where I'm losing foundation, and it works in that way. But I will never repurchase this brand or this powder, and actually it makes me even wary. It was so bad, it makes me wary to even try CoverGirl powders more, because this one was horrible. But I have heard that CoverGirl makes some good pressed powders, so maybe I'll try one in the future, but for now I have a lot of other ones that I need to use up before repurchasing something like this. All right, moving into eye products, I have a Lancome Lash Primer. I don't think this was outstanding. I got this as a point perk from Sephora. I don't think it was outstanding, but it wasn't bad. I actually enjoy using lash primers in my brows more than anything, so you'll notice that the wand is kind of brown, because that's what I would put a little bit of like my pomade on, then I would brush through this, brush my hairs up, and then I would set it at the end after all my powder and things are done and you have a little powder in your brows. I would set it with my Gimme Brow from Essence, and it would make my brows look nice and fluffy. And so I have a full size of this that I got in like a Sephora kit. I am going to use that next year, and just probably wouldn't repurchase this, but I don't know. I'm curious if using the full size, if I'll see any. It calls itself a booster. I don't know if it has any lash serum and stuff in it, but I will look that up, because it wasn't bad. It's definitely better than some other lash primers that I've tried. Like right now I have another one by Wet n Wild, and I definitely don't think that one does anything. I think that one, the Lancome one, gives a little bit more of an effect than the Wet n Wild one does, but all in all, I'm just not a big fan of lash primers in general. The next thing I've used up is Kitten Karma in the Stila Glitter and Glows. This is completely done. It's so hard to get stuff out, and it's kind of flaky now, but I feel like I got my good use out of that. Hopefully you'll be able to see in this tube that I have a number of windows. I tried my best to get it out. I do not like these mini guys. The packaging is horrible. It makes it really hard to get the product out. So I love Glitter and Glows, but if you're ever considering to buy one, I say pick a big size that you like, get like 1 or 2 colors that you really love, and then don't buy any more, because one, they dry out too fast, and the minis suck. The packaging is horrible. So moving on to an eyeliner. I have no idea what brand this is anymore. This thing was so old, and it's just a little brush tip thing. It's so old that I can't even remember when I bought this. So I was using it the other day, and I realized it just wasn't having the staying power that it used to have, and I decided, you know, time to put this in Empties. I got my use out of it. I want to say it was like an LA Girl one or something along those lines. So this is another one that I finished up. I kind of prefer a felt tip one, but brush tips really aren't bad either, but I've never really fallen in love with a liquid eyeliner yet, so I don't know if I would repurchase that one. Then I have 3 eyelashes, but they're all in this one box. So I'll try to pull out the different styles, or one of each of the different styles. So the first 2 are Ardell lashes, and this is what this one looks like. And as you can tell, it's pretty nasty because it's been used, and I tried to clean it up, but I can't quite get the glue and stuff out. And when I'm wearing it, you can kind of see the shininess where the glue is kind of stuck in the lash band. So I decided, you know what? I have plenty of other lashes. It's time to move on. I really like these lashes. I think they're very fun. They're not like overwhelming for your eye. I really like how it's curved, like it's symmetric in its curve. It's not too much on the outside shape. And I think for my eye shape, because my eyes kind of turn down, I prefer a shape like this that makes my eyes seem more round and doesn't exaggerate how much they're downturned. So this is a nice lash for me. Another lash that does the same thing for my eye shape, it's flattering for my eye shape, was this lash right here by Ardell. And this one, it has a little shorter of an inside, but it's not like a tapered, like dramatic, like big on the outside kind of lash. So this is another one that it doesn't overwhelm my eyes. It's a nice little like lash. I really enjoy Ardell lashes, but those were 2. And then the last one that I used up was this Lily lashes in the shade, again, Havana. I had quite a number of this style lash because I found them at TJ Maxx, and hopefully you'll be able to see one is way more fluffy than the other, and when that happens, when they start shedding to the point of one they don't look the same anymore, I get rid of them. So this one is one that I have to be careful with. I have to make sure I trim them right because this style is so dramatic on the outside that it can make my eyes look too heavy and then therefore more downturned. But these are very beautiful lashes. I think they hold up quite well. I definitely get more uses out of the Lily lashes than I do the Ardell's, and I never thought I would be someone who would like expensive lashes. I always thought that maybe I'll just enjoy my Ardell ones, but I have to say, if I will probably always have one or two like expensive lashes on hand for really nice occasions, because to me, lashes are probably my favorite accessory. When I wear lashes, they just transform a whole look, and I really enjoy them. So those are 3 lashes that I used up, and I like all 3 of them. Would probably purchase all 3, although I want to try some different styles in the Lily one, not Havana. I don't like the very dramatic outside lash thing. Okay, moving into lip products, I have quite a bit here in my lap. First one is a lipstick that I was using mostly as a blush, but this is an Ulta lipstick in the shade 207, and hopefully you can see there, it is done. It was a peachy shade. I'll see if I can give you a swatch. Peachy shade that I sheared out. It's a little bit too metallic, but as a blush, it was gorgeous. Very much enjoyed that. I was really kind of bummed when I started trying to use it as a lipstick and it wasn't working for me, but as a blush, I enjoyed it to the point of using it up. So I don't think I would repurchase it though, but if you ever have lipsticks that don't work for you, try them that way. I think they're quite nice. Then I have a lip gloss from an Ulta Beauty kit, and this was just in the shade 01, just an easy peasy, like clear with a little bit of, or with a little tint, a little glitter, but mostly it just gave you like a glossy look. Then I have a Clinique gloss, and this one is in the shade Love Pop, and this one is, again, it looks like there is product in here, but it is like stuck to those walls, and because it's like square packaging, you cannot get it out very well. And so I'll see if I can give you enough of a swatch. Like, that's how much of product is on the wand where I can swatch, so not even enough to put on your lips. I actually thought I would fall. I was really excited to try Clinique gloss, and I was like, man, this is gonna be nice, but I think it's a little too sticky for my liking, so I don't think I would purchase a full size of that. Then I have an Essence lipstick. This is the one that was in my 9 in 2019 project. I finished it this week. I'm so excited. I don't even know if I can give you, yeah, I can barely give you a swatch right there. Such a nice like glossy lipstick, and I think that's probably my favorite formula. So I don't think Essence sells these anymore, but I really hope that they maybe bring back a version of this, because this was so comfortable. This lasted so long. I think I calculated how many uses I got out of it this year that I remembered to track, and it was over 230 uses, and it took me, and it's probably even more than that because I probably missed 1 or 2 tracking days here and there. This thing lasted forever. Really nice lipstick. I enjoyed that quite a bit. I have a Carmex lip balm, and this is just a normal lip balm. And I mean, so when it starts to get cooler weather here, my lips really need a little bit of that analgesic kind of feel where it tingles, where you don't really concentrate on how bad your lips hurt. And Carmex is one of the only products that saves my lips. My husband also swears by it. He can go through one of these in like 2 weeks because it provides actual relief, which is really nice. And the last lip product I have here is a Sephora. I don't remember what they called this or marketed this as. I thought it was a gloss, but I think it was more of a lip cream, and this was in the shade Peach. I did not really like this on my lips. It was kind of thick feeling, and I ended up using it as a like cream blush again. And so hopefully you can see that it is a little sheeny, but actually didn't lift up makeup. It worked fine. I would not repurchase this, but I was glad to use it up, and I was glad to figure out a way to use it as a cheek product, which I actually did think that it gave like a nice pretty effect. Okay, that's all the makeup items. Let's move into my hair care and like skincare, body care items. I'm gonna try to go through these a little quicker because I realize that this video is getting kind of long. The first thing I have is the Twisted Sister Curl Activator. This I picked up at TJ Maxx, and because I was in desperate need, I was traveling, desperate need of something to do curly hair with, and this was the only thing I saw at the time, and I was worried that it would be like a thicker product made for like different hair type than mine, and I thought it would make my hair not curl, like it might be too heavy for my hair, but I actually really liked it. The smell was great. If I used just a little bit and worked it into my hair just right, it was very curly. It held my curl well. I really enjoyed this product. I would actually buy another one of these. I don't know where to get it from. I will look in TJ Maxx when I go back, but I also, if I ever saw this in a store, I would definitely pick this up again because it was a very nice product that did what it claimed to do. I also used up some makeup pads, which aren't really anything to write home about. I mostly use those for nail polish remover. Then I also have an Australian Gold 50 SPF like sunscreen. This is tinted so that it doesn't go on white, but it does not give you coverage like foundation or anything like that. I love this thing, and now I do think that if I use it too often, like it can kind of start to dry my skin out a little bit, but when I travel, this is my go-to. I make my husband wear it especially in summers here in Sweden, the sun's out all day almost, and so I don't trust anything but this thing. So this is my go-to high SPF like skincare product, and if you haven't tried something like this, I think it's well worth the actual try. Especially, maybe not if you have dry skin, I would avoid it if you have like pretty dry skin, but if you have normal to oily skin, this is such a good product to use, and during the summer, it's an everyday product for me. Next up, I have a Curology bottle. This is a thing that I've raved about. I love this service. It's so worth it in my opinion. You get assigned to a dermatologist. You tell them what your skin goals is. You take like a little quiz online. They hook you up with like a prescription level cocktail of ingredients, 3 of them, and it's just something. This bottle is $40 and it's supposed to last you 2 months. It lasts more than that for me because I don't use a full 2 pumps every time to cover my face. But such a good product. I really enjoy it. This is something that I will never go without. And then these two, technically, this one is a skincare product for me. I don't use this in my makeup routine at all. This is Mario Badescu like facial spray. I like to put my skincare on to wet skin. I think it glides on better, and then it also absorbs better. So that's why I buy these on sale whenever I can. And then this technically was in my setting spray category, so I probably should have talked about it earlier with the makeup. But I have to say that I pulled it out to use it as a setting spray, and I hated the spray applicator on it. So I just started using it in my skincare routine instead because it was too kind of aggressive or too heavy, and it didn't spray evenly. And then on top of that, when I look at the ingredients, it's literally just water. It's literally water. I mean, I guess I should have expected that knowing that it's Evian, but it has no like skincare benefits or nothing, not even glycerin to help hydrate your skin. So this is a complete gimmick to me. And not only that, but like I can't get any more product out, and there's a ton of water that feels like is left in here. So I don't know, it's just wasteful. I would never buy these. No. This is the biggest fail of the like 2 months in my opinion. Okay, that's all the product that I have to go over with you, but I do want to quickly say that my total for the months of October and November, I used up $259.09 worth of product, which brings me to a yearly total of $870.06, which I'm really excited about. I didn't really expect to get that close to $1,000, so I will hopefully do one more video at the end of December. I don't expect to have a ton of product by that time, like used up, but maybe, fingers crossed, I can maybe finish up a couple more things here and there and do a final yearly update, and it will probably be a much shorter video than this one is. But then I also am gonna do a year-long makeup empties and just kind of go through everything that I've used up makeup-wise this year, and I'm really excited about that video. Make sure you say hello in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.